sitting at my office facing Central Park, putting my feet on my desk with a cup of coffee, looking through the window. I made it. I really made it. I was completely and absolutely depressed on a couch in a fetal position, in complete darkness and obscurity, until one morning, who was she getting married to? The policeman that arrested me.
Joining me is Dr. Alfredo Borodowski. Alfredo is an international keynote speaker, consultant, and author specializing in positive psychology, peak performance, and resilience. Known as the optometrist of strengths, he helps leaders and organizations transform toxic cultures into thriving environments of growth and engagement. He has worked with companies like Motorola, major law firms, and over 50 nonprofit organizations, bringing clarity, purpose, and measurable results to leaders navigating change. Welcome, Alfredo.
Thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure to be with you and with your audience to share some wisdom, maybe.
When did you first recognize that integrating your whole self and bringing that into everything that you do might be a valuable approach?
You know, I have a story. I think all of us have a story. Mine may be a little bit more interesting in terms of a crisis and redemption. Before I became a consultant, or as I was a consultant, I was a rabbi for 30 years. And I was a rabbi of one of the most prestigious congregations in Westchester, New York. I had as congregants CEOs of major companies like MetLife and Prime Media. And I had a lot of Wall Street hedge fund managers, and I had top lawyers from the top firms in Manhattan. I had an office in Westchester. I had an office facing Central Park. You know, coming from Argentina, Buenos Aires, middle class, sitting at my office facing Central Park, putting my feet on my desk with a cup of coffee, looking through the window. I made it. I really made it. And then I never thought about positivity or positive psychology. Why? I was it. I was living it until everything disappeared in an instant. The morning of June 19th, 2013. When I was arrested for impersonating a police officer. And I was in the town of Mamaroneck. And a few months before that, a congregant of mine called me to the side and said, "Rabbi, I have something special for you." He opened his hand and he had a small replica of his badge. And he said, "This is for my closest friends. And with this, you will have no problems." And then, Michael, that's when the problems began. Mm-hmm. You know, by the way, those shields and those cards should be all illegal. What are they for, if not for getting away with breaking the law? You know, we're supposed to be all the same under the law unless you're friend and family of a police person. Then what happened? The day after he gave it to me, I crossed a stop sign. I was late for a meeting. Police came after me. They stopped me. I showed the badge, and they basically smiled and said, "Go." And at that point, I said, "Wow, I am part of the club here." And I began patrolling the highways of New York and showing people the badge and telling how to drive. Now, what happened to me also is that I was having mania. I had an attack of mania for a couple of months. And I went to my psychiatrist, who didn't know me well yet, was, I think, the second time. And because manic people love their mania, Michael. We get energy, creativity, we don't sleep and work all night long. Then I lied. And I said to him I was depressed. And I was very convincing. Then he gave me an depressant. Then I was with mania, the wrong medication, and a badge. And that's when I unleashed and began patrolling the streets until one morning, that morning of June 19th, I showed it to a young lady and she made a phone call. And immediately later, I had 3 patrols behind me. Now, a couple of months after that, I look at the restraining order she had against me and I Googled her. And I look at the picture and I almost fell off the chair. She was getting married. And I looked close to the picture. Who was she getting married to? The policeman that arrested me. Okay, of all people. Then they took me to court. They accused me a felony, impersonating a police officer. And because I was a rabbi of a prestigious congregation, it went viral. And the press made a circus out of me. And they gave me a name, the Road Rage Rabbi. And it became an international sensation. It was on front pages of newspapers from Ireland to Japan. Now, again, I did wrong, very wrong, but I didn't touch anybody. I wasn't violent. But, a rabbi from Westchester impersonating a police officer, the things I read that I was a terrorist, that I was, and I went into deep depression. I was hospitalized. And during that first hospitalization, I was diagnosed bipolar, which I didn't know until that point. Then I was released from the hospital. I was fired from my job. I was on the news. My friends stopped talking to me. And I went again into deep depression, back to the hospital. And when I went out of the hospital for 8 months, as the court cases were going on, I was completely and absolutely depressed on a couch in a fetal position, in complete darkness and obscurity, until one morning, don't ask me how, why, I felt an energy. And I stood up from the couch and I walked upstairs to my study, and on the top of my desk, I found something that, again, I am not sure how it got there. I had a yellow folder. I opened it and I read the results of a positive psychology test I had taken a few months before. And I read my top 5 strengths: creativity, love of learning, curiosity, perseverance, and bravery. And something turned on within me. I said, Alfredo, you forgot who you are. And a month later, I was back to school, became a social worker, did great with depression, with court cases, did great. And after I finished social work school, I said, every person should have the right, I would say the obligation, of knowing the top 5 strengths of positive psychology. They are so powerful, and people should not go through life without them. And that's how I've been doing consulting before, but that's how I committed myself to this work fully.